Hello patrons, this is Gayle. I want to thank you for being so patient with me the last couple of months. It's been a rough couple of months and I've really struggled getting back into a regular routine, but I'm going to really try hard. But I just wanted to let you know I haven't forgotten about you. I'm sorry, I see the reflection on my glasses. But I haven't forgotten you. I just wanted you to know I am working on getting back on schedule with my Patreon videos. And I just want to thank you again for being so patient and understanding with me. So here we go. Let's get started. Hello everyone. This is Gayle. And welcome to my tutorial. I was out, oh goodness, I've had this probably now for about a month, maybe 2 months. But I was out wandering around in Walmart looking for some wooden items, and I was there for other reasons and decided I'd look in their craft section. And they had this wooden plaque with a rope on it, and I thought how nice it would be to put something on here that's polymer clay and have a nice wall hanging. So I'm going to put this aside because I'm not going to need it for a while. But before I get started on my clay, I'll keep this here for a minute. I'm going to get a piece of deli paper, and this is pretty large deli paper. It's more like a waxed paper. And that looks like it's just about the size that I need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as my base so that I'll know how big to make my my polymer clay piece. Of course, I don't need it just yet, but I've decided I'm going to make a flower out of pearl and magenta pearl. And I'm also going to use some bright green pearl for the leaves. I just got into a pearl mode. And I started with this thinking about using the pearl in the flower, and it just kind of blossomed from there. So I'm going to use all pearl clay. And I'm going to open this. I'm probably going to cut maybe half of this off. And I will condition that. And I have taken some of the magenta pearl and the regular pearl, and I'm going to make a Skinner blend. And then with what's left of my pearl, I'm going to make a log. But before I get started on the Skinner blend, I want this to be mostly pearl and not the magenta pearl. I just want the magenta to be around the outside edge. So what I'm going to do, instead of putting these squares together this way like I normally would, I'm going to cut a little bit of a circle. I'm going to bend my blade and cut a little bit of this circle out. To take away some of the pearl. And I'm going to move this one, and I'm just going to go like this and see if I can get this to fit up in there. Hopefully it's about the same curve. If not, we'll make it. And it's not quite exact, but I'm going to cut this point off anyway. Now this is a double thickness, so I'm going to push these together, and then I'm going to run them through my pasta machine and make a Skinner blend. And being pearl, they're going to be a little stickier than the regular clay, so this hopefully won't take too long. But I'm going to take a break and put this through the pasta machine, and I'm also going to condition the bright green, and then we'll start putting together our project. Okay, now as you've seen me do before, I'm going to fold this in half and roll it through the pasta machine this way to make a long, thin sheet. So this is on the number 0, which is the largest, the thickest setting. Then I will go down to a number 3. And I really don't want pink in the center, so let me just slice this little piece of pink off that got on my clay. Ordinarily I don't mind it, but I really don't want any pink in the center. So this is on a number 3. Then I'll go to a number 5. See how that gave me a long, thin one? So I'll go to a number 5. And you can see how long this is now. But I'm going to go a little bit thinner. I'm going to go all the way down to a 7. If I can get it in there. And as you can see, this is giving me a very long, thin sheet. So let me drape this across my pasta machine so it doesn't get stuck on itself. Let me get my green out of the way. And I've also made a plug of the pearl clay. And I want to get this about the same diameter, same width as this is. And I'm going to just wrap this around this pearl clay log. And what this is going to do is give me a really white center. And it's going to gradually, see how it's in the pretty light pink stage now? And it'll just progressively get darker. And this is going to give me what we're going to use for our flower petals. Or did I even say I was going to make a flower? I saw this in a Judy Belcher, I believe it was Judy Belcher book years and years ago. Oops, and it broke, but that's all right. I will just continue wrapping where that was. Because this is very thin, it's not going to make any difference. Just start where it ripped and keep on rolling. And the idea is to have it go from white to dark. And there we go. Now this clay is very sticky, but I will try to cut a slice off of one end just so you can have an idea what this looks like. But there we go. There's pearl and then it goes into a pink. And I'm going to reduce this down. Actually, I'm just going to roll it a little bit and try to keep the ends from going in. And again, if I thought about this in time, I will use my cane ends from tinypandora.com, which will keep these ends from sinking in or poking out, whichever it is that yours have a tendency to do. And I'll reduce it by pinching by hand first. And when I take it out of here, I will roll it just to get it round. But then I'm going to cut a piece off of it, excuse me, I'll cut a piece off when I'm at the largest size that I want. And save it so that I'll have different sizes of petals. Because if you look at a flower, the outside petals are much larger than the ones on the inside. So let me pull these ends off, which worked really great with this clay, and just even it up a little bit. I don't know, they're still not quite small enough. I don't think I want one that big. So let's continue reducing. And I'm going to push in the middle to make an hourglass shape to about the size that I want, and then I will push the ends very slowly. Don't get in a hurry, but push the ends to match the size of the inside. And with soft clay, you can go all the way up against this little plastic, this lucite disc, so you don't lose any of your clay. Now see how that looks? This side matches the middle, so now I'm going to push the other side up to match the middle. Then I'll cut a small piece off. But I was thinking about, I had some beautiful peonies or peonies. When I was growing up, they were called peonies, but it seems like as time goes on, people change the names, and now people call them peonies. But that's what gave me the idea for this cane. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slice off a piece, maybe about a third of it. And rocking it gives you a funny look here. You can see where it kind of cuts in little layers, but it keeps it from squishing. Because unfortunately, with the clay being soft, if I tried to cut it without that, it would just squish. So now I'm going to reduce this. I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to reduce it in the center. And then take the ends up to where they match. Might go down a little bit more. You just kind of have to gauge this by what you want. I'll do the other end. You see, with the clay stuck to these little lucite cane ends, it doesn't suck in and it doesn't poke out. It just keeps you from losing those ends. Let me pull these off and just even it out a little bit. I'm not trying to reduce it anymore. I'm just evening it out. And again, I will cut about a third. So we've got those two sizes, and I'm going to keep reducing as long as I can. Luckily, between this room, this is that room that gets so cold in the wintertime. Well, in the summertime it gets warm, but luckily it's cloudy today, so it's not that warm in here. But being pearl clay, it is pretty sticky. And I could have leached it before I started, but I just didn't want to do that. But I think I'll turn the camera off while I finish this, and I'll just do the different sizes that I want, and then I'll be back. Okay, let me just come in a little bit for you. But I have cut these to the, I've reduced them down to 4 sizes, with this being the largest and this being the smallest. And because they're sticky, I am going to let them rest. Matter of fact, I may put them in the refrigerator, because the next step is to slice these into slices, and I really don't want to try slicing them when they're this sticky. So I'm going to put these in the fridge, and when I feel like it's time, I will come back. But in the meantime, since I don't have to wait for this, I'll just let those sit. I've got my leaf. Now, you can do several things with the leaf. This is a number green, the bright green pearl that's rolled to a number 3, but I think I might go down to a number 5. Now, if you have leaf cutters that are large enough, you can use those. Find my leaf cutters. I've got these that I got from Create-A-Long a long time ago. And I think in order to use these, I'm going to need to put them in cornstarch. Because, again, this... Well, maybe I can do it this way. Maybe I'll dust the top of the clay with cornstarch. I'll see how this works. This is my little Wilton, let me come back up. My Wilton duster, I don't know what it's called. It's for either powdered sugar or cornstarch. But I lay this on my paper. And this will just brush off when I'm finished. But I'm going to use several of these big leaves. And I'm going to press here to cut. Then I'm going to press this to impress. And I don't know if you can see that or not. You see how it impresses the veins in the leaf? So I'm going to do several of these. And you just cut by pressing around the big foundation, then press the veins into it. And you just do as many as you want. I'm going to do a bunch because I don't know how many I'm going to use. That little plunger is also good not only to imprint, but to also get it out of the cutter if it sticks. Like that one that stuck a little bit, and they're beginning to stick, but not badly. And I think I'll also use the medium size, just so I can have a variation in size. But it works the same way. Excuse my head, I just don't want to cut the end off of the big leaf. And I can't see from where I'm sitting. Oops, I didn't cut that one out. Press first and then push this. So there's my leaves. Let me pull this up. And I have more if I want to use more, but this ought to be enough leaves. I'll end up tucking these in. I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to let my flower petals rest, and then I will be back. Okay, I have taken these out. You can see I've laid them in my Lucy slicer side by side. And I'm going to take one slice, which is going to just be trash. And I will just continue slicing. Whoops. You notice I have on Kevlar gloves. I have cut my finger too many times on this. See, these two are not very good slices either. But these two seem okay. But now they should be fairly even. So, there we go. I will just slice. I think that's going to be it. Let me put the guard up. And remove my slices. There is some clay, a little bit left in there. They also give you a magnet that fits on the blade so that you don't accidentally slice yourself. But there we go. And I need to separate these while they're still cold. Otherwise, they will end up sticking together. But these are my big ones. So I thought I would make maybe a big flower and a little flower. I don't know. We'll just have to see how it goes as I go along. Guess I could take these off now. This one is a Kevlar glove. This one is just a bathing glove, but I figured it would give me some protection. And let me just continue separating these. I had them in the freezer for about an hour, so it's really cold, but they're warming up really quickly. Doesn't take much to warm them up. But they're not all the same thickness, and that's okay, because we're going to do something else with them. Even though I cut fairly thin slices, I'm going to cut more slices. I mean, I'm not going to cut more slices. I'm going to make them even thinner. have to move this tile because it looks like it's covered in slices. So you don't have any others that are stuck together. Some of these little pieces, I may be able to use those later. But anyway, so there we go. There's our flower slices. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my pasta machine down at least to number 7. And I'm going to roll this through, which is going to elongate it. And that's going to make a pretty big flower. And this may be too thin. Let me go back to a number 5. Just in case these end up being too thin. But I want them thin. That's probably a better size. And I'm going to continue doing this. And again, I won't make you watch, but I'm going to continue to roll these through the pasta machine to make them thinner and longer, and then I'll come back. Okay, they are all rolled out. And I wanted to show you something. This is a wax paper. It's a deli sheet. But can you see the splotches on there? That is where the green leaves sat. So I just wanted to show you that even wax paper will leach your clay. It won't leach it as much as the as printer paper or something like that, but it will leach your clay. Now the problem I'm going to have now is finding a place to work. So what I think I'm going to do, let me move my clay out of the way. I keep so much here on my desk that I shouldn't keep here. Okay. And I'm just going to slide this over. Now remember, this is the size of my wooden plaque. Don't want to get my leaves. Alright. So I'm going to take some of these longer petals, and this one, they're so thin, I probably shouldn't have done them quite so thin. But I'm going to see if I can use these as a base for a large leaf. A large flower. You see how many have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I will put them out like this. See, I want to pinch those later, but not right now. So do not go down to a number 7. Number 7 is too thin. But I'm going to lay them out, and then I'll lay some of these medium-sized ones in between. And I'm going to start pinching. the ugliest end to pinch for the center. And you can pinch the ends here to make it a little bit more dimensional. Let's see if I can pinch these. I don't know if I can or not, because they are so thin. Well, that worked. Because you don't want them flat. Whoops. So these long ones aren't going to look too bad after all, and it'll give me a nice big flower shape. And let me do this one. May as well pinch both ends before I put it on here. And you can rearrange these. They don't, this is not set in stone when you pinch these. I'll pinch that one all the way down. I'll just set those there. This one I'll pull out just a little bit. And I want to keep 4 good-sized ones for my other flower. So let me just move those out of the way before I use them up. And then just go progressively smaller. And just start stacking. And I probably am not going to have enough to make a pretty flower. But maybe I'll do at least one. Okay, so there we've got our base. Now the rest of them we're going to just kind of cluster in the middle. And you can take these and move them a little bit before you bake them. Anyway, I'm just going to keep going progressively smaller, and like I said, I'm going to start stacking them. And I'm going to stop pinching the ends. I'm just going to pinch the middle. And I've been putting 4, but this time I'm going to switch to 5 just because I want this to be a little bit fuller. And we'll go even smaller with the smaller ones. Put those in the center. But you can see how we're building a pretty little flower. And I'm getting to where I need my toothpick. Tell you, I don't know what I would do without a toothpick with my clay. And let's see, what will I put in the center? maybe I'll just put another little petal. And maybe one on the other side if I can find one small enough. There we go. Now let's try this one and see how it looks with the smaller petals. Maybe I'll leave this one round at the end also. See which one I like the best. I think it looks much better than the great big long leaves. What do y'all think? Wish y'all could answer me. That would make it nice. And you just keep building. I'm sorry this is taking so long, but hopefully you're learning as we're doing this. Let's see, what size am I using? About this size. Then just put a smaller layer on top, and you just keep going till the flower looks the way you want it. You see, these are sitting up a little bit better. And I'll put a little one in the center again. This is kind of out a little ways. Let me bring it in and see what you think of this flower. And this one is open a little bit more than I want it. Now these are pretty flat. I do believe I'm going to take these 4 petals off. And what I'm going to do is take some of these and put up underneath. Just to add a little fullness here. And I'm going to put these inside of a bowl to bake them so that they'll curve up. So I'm not really concerned right now about the fact that they're flat. But I'm going to go ahead and use as many of these petals as I can on this one just to make it look a little fuller. And it's getting sticky again. It didn't take it long. So I'm depending on my toothpick to get things where they need to be. See, it sticks to my fingers. I can't even keep it the right way, but that's the way metallic or pearl clay is. Now these little petals are going to droop when they get hot. So what I'm going to do, these are already stuck together. Is I'm going to separate them and roll little pieces of paper like this. When this heats up, this is going to drop. See how it's dimensional? So what I'm going to do is probably take some paper towel and just cut it into strips. And just cut them into strips and make little rolls. And you can pull these out. They won't burn in the oven. It'll add some little, keep the dimension in the petals. And they're removable. And you can you roll them around your toothpick. And use your toothpick to stick it up in there. And then remove it. Oops, that one came loose. I was trying not to roll it so tight and ended up not rolling it tight enough to stay on the toothpick. And I'll stick that one like right there. And you just do this all the way around. I think this is a 2-ply paper towel, so I'll separate them for some of them. Whoops. Don't come unraveled till I get you where I want you. And just kind of stick them in there. I guess unraveling these, separating the two ply probably wasn't a good idea. But I'm going to do this all over my flower. Well, I'll just stick you in there since this came out. I'm going to put it all over my flower. And then I'll be back and show you, before I put it in the oven, I will be back as soon as I get a hand. Well, this one is just being really difficult. But I'm going to go ahead and stuff my flowers and then form my leaves, and then I will be back before I put it in the oven. Okay, I believe I have my flowers sufficiently stuffed. And I think I'm going to take a piece of paper towel and lay it in the bowl also, just to give the flower something to rest on and hope so it won't get stuck, because these are going to be kind of fragile. These are some metal bowls I got from Donna Cato, and I think what I'll do is put it on the paper towel and then lower the paper towel into the bowl. So I'll lay it on the paper towel. This way I can use my blade to help get it off of my kidney. Like I said, this is very sticky clay right now. There we go. And I'm going to lay this down in the small bowl. This is my smaller flower. And that will keep it from baking totally flat. Then I'll do the same thing with this one. One of my leaves came off, my petals. That goes right in here. It stuck to the kidney and it pulled it right off. So let me just stick that in there. And put this back over top of it to separate it from the other flower. This can be very tedious, but just take your time. Don't worry about it. It will all work out fine. I'll put that one there. Actually, I'm going to add a piece of paper. Go right in here. Well, that thing is still not stuck. So you get to messing with it too much and your little papers fall out. But what I'm going to do, I'm not going to worry with whether that petal is stuck or not. Because if it isn't stuck, I will stick it when it comes out of the oven. So I've got that. And then I'm going to take my leaves, and you may see where I've already started. I'm just going to pinch those here at the end. to give it a little bit of dimension. You don't need them too much. You just don't want them to be like flat like a tabletop. And these may flatten a little when they cook, but that's okay, because I'm just going to tuck them up underneath my flowers anyway. I'll do some stems, but I think I'm going to do that after these are baked. I'll arrange my flowers and then make some stems, then I'll bake the stems, and then I'll attach it all to my wood. So I'm going to go ahead and bake these, and I'm going to bake them for an hour. And this is Sculpey, so I mean Primo, so I'm going to be baking it at 275, and I will be back when it comes out of the oven. Okay, I have just taken these out of the oven. They're all nice and cool. And let's see what we've got. Let me pull out these little pieces of paper. I baked them at 275 because this is Primo, and I baked it for an hour. And let me get some pliers here to get inside there, because that ended up getting closed up. And there's one in there. I think that turned out pretty cute. What do you think? Let's see what the other one looks like. So you just need enough support for these petals to keep them from flopping down when they get hot. When they get hot, they have a tendency to just kind of wimp out. But you just pull out the paper towels. This one I think is going to turn out pretty good too. I lucked out this time. I haven't done this in a long time, so I wasn't really sure how this would work. Let me just get rid of my pieces of paper towel here. So there's my two flowers, and I baked my leaves, and you can see I can just take a brush, and brush off the cornstarch that's on here, and it won't be a problem. Some of them, the cornstarch doesn't even show. Others, you can see it quite a bit. But some of these are really really crimped, and others are a little flatter because they didn't hold their crimp. But that's okay, because we may not even use all of them. But let's take these off. If you remember, this piece of paper is the side. Oh, there's that petal that wasn't stuck. Well, I am going to, I guess I'll just use some super glue. How's that? And I use the Loctite super glue gel because it's just easier to control. And let me just stick that on there and hold it for a minute. Shouldn't take long for this to stick. I just won't mess with that for a while. But here's our flowers. And what I thought I would do is just kind of go like this. Kind of put the two together. And then tuck in some leaves. See where I've got space, I'll tuck in some of these that are a little bit more dimensional. And then what you could do, if you want to, if you are into vinyl or whatever, you could make a little saying to put over on this side. But I think this is going to work just fine. So now I'm going to go back to my real wood. There, and I'm going to use Weld Bond, which is my favorite glue for gluing polymer clay. And let me just put that, let's see, decide where I want to put them. Like that. So I'll take this and I'll just put a big glob on here. And set that down on it. And I'll put a big glob right here. And set this down. And what I'm trying to do is these places on each one where the petals are a little scrunched, I'll put those together because it looks like two flowers that are kind of pushed up against each other, and that's what's scrunching the petals. Now this will take a while to dry, but for the rest of them, I'm just going to, let me get a clean side, take a piece of this paper and put a big glob of this on here. Then I can wipe this off. Let me go, here's my paper towel. I knew I had a paper towel somewhere. And it's right there if I need more. And let me take some of the bigger ones and just put a glob on the back and stick it where you want it to go. And just keep adding your leaves wherever you feel like you want them. And just play with it. Just, you know, that's about all you can do is get them the way you would like to have them. Let me try this one over here. And just be careful that when you're putting these in there that you're putting the glue where it touches the clay and the wood. Let me do some bigger leaves. In some places that you put them, the flower can hold the leaf up a little bit. So that they're not laying flat against the wood. And this will have to sit for a while for the glue to dry. Oh, and I wonder, this should fit in there. I'm going to, when this is dry, good and dry, I'm going to put some of the brush-on resin. And I may even brush a little powder on the leaves a little bit just to add some sparkle or whatever. But this is going to have to sit. It'll probably sit for, you know, maybe several hours. I just want to make sure that the glue is nice and dry so that when I lift this up, the flowers won't fall off onto the floor. But I just think that is so pretty. But I will be back when I'm ready to put the resin on here, and we will go from there. So I'll be back. Okay, guys, my glue is dry. And you can see I reuse some of these little pieces of paper towel to kind of hold up some of the leaves so that they didn't dry flat. See, there's a little bit of dimension to the leaves. They're sticking up and they're curled up. But the glue is all dry. And now what I want to do is to cover it with some resin. And I'm going to use the tinypandora.com's Deep Shine Brush On Resin. And let me get that real quick. Sorry about that. I had forgotten to get the resin out. And I'm going to use a small brush. And this is the brush that comes with the resin is a really nice brush, but it's a little large for these petals. So I'm just going to leave that in the foil. As long as it doesn't come into contact with sunlight, the resin does not harden. And I'm going to use a little eyeshadow brush. It's clean. I'm going to pour a little bit of resin into my cup. And I like to brush the excess off with my brush. I can be very frugal. And I'm just going to take this and I'm going to just make sure my brush is totally coated. Since it's never been used, I just want to make sure the resin is inside and out. And I'm just going to start brushing. And I'll start maybe here. And I'll just keep adding resin as I get to the petals. I'll try to start. Don't know whether to start at the top and work my way down or work in a particular area. So let me just try starting at the top. Now this one I'm going to also brush on the bottom since it sits up. But this ought to give a really nice shine. I'm going to turn this so I can see it better. This is the greatest stuff. I've never been a resin person. For one, I don't like mixing resin. And most of them that I had seen have a part A and a part B. And Teresa sent me this. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I may just do one and then show you the difference between the two, with the one with the resin and the one without the resin. But I'm going to just coat this. And again, if you don't want to watch all of this, you feel free to fast forward. I don't think I will fast forward through this, because I will probably talk as I'm doing it. But just try to make sure. See how strong the petals are once they're baked? I did bake this for an hour at 275 because it is primo. And it really becomes very strong. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I get all the surface of this petal. And I don't know that I can get into this one, but I'm just going to do the edges since that really is all that we will see. But it brings out the color so well. When you put this resin on, it really brings out the color. So this pink or magenta pearl that I used is going to be really pretty. And I'm going to go ahead and do the leaves right here around it, and I'll do the other one later. Wow, look how bright that makes that. Well, you probably can't tll the difference. But the color really came out on this leaf. Now be sure you don't get any of this onto your wood, because once it hardens, you're not going to be able to get it off. It is going to be attached. Now, you can use several coats of this if you like. I'll see what this looks like after one coat. And just because this is kind of close, I'm going to go ahead and do this leaf also. Now, I believe I've gotten all the petals on this. Okay, there's no sunlight over here, so I should be fine. But this is my UV light that, again, you can see Tiny Pandora, the logo here on the top. And I'm going to take the foil out, which is what I usually use to put my things on. I just saw something sitting here that wasn't supposed to be here. Now, there it is. But this also had, let me come back out a little bit. I guess I'm out as far as I can go. This also has a drawer that has a reflective side on it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that out because this is on this board. And then, if I don't drop everything, let me move this over here. And I'm just going to sit it on top. Making sure that that flower and the leaves are inside, and it looks like they're fine in there. And then I'm going to just turn it on. And I'm going to wait maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and I'm not going to make you wait. I'm going to stop the film and I'll be back in 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, I forgot to look at my watch, but I feel like it's been about 5 minutes. And let me take my lamp off of the top of the thing. And it is, but can you see the difference in at the color, this is much brighter and of course much shinier than this part over here that's not done. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side, and if you don't want to watch again, please don't hesitate to fast forward. But I'm just going to start here on one end and go work my way around to the other end. But this is just a nice project to have. You can personalize it. I think you could take a photograph. That would be nice. A photograph of your grandchildren or your dog or your husband or your significant other or, you know, whoever. And put it here on this end that doesn't have anything, and then hang this on the wall, and this would make a wonderful gift. Graduations are here, it's time for weddings. You could make a flower using the colors of the bride's wedding and then put a picture of her and her new groom on here. That would make a nice wedding gift. You have to be careful right here because this one is pretty flat there at the tip. Now, like I said, I don't want to get this on my wood. But there's just so many things you can do. But I wanted a piece of wall art. My other room where I made my paper crafting room, I do have some paper crafting. I've done some art panels, mixed media panels, and I want to hang those on the wall. And I thought, well, you know, I really need something made out of polymer, that I have made out of polymer clay. I've got things other people have made, but something that I have made out of polymer clay to hang on my wall. So that's when I came up with this idea. When I think I told you at the beginning of the video, I was walking around Walmart looking for some inspiration and something that I could put on my wall. And I saw this, and it's recycled wood, or reclaimed wood, I believe they called it. I don't think I have, no, the sticker is off of it. I think it's maybe reclaimed wood, but it was only like $1, maybe $2. Wasn't much, and already had the hanger attached to it. So I thought that was awesome, and then I had to come up with the project to go on it. And this is a flower that I had wanted to show you how to make anyway. So I thought I would go ahead and just do this project. I hope you've enjoyed this. It's something that I enjoy doing. I'm just making sure I've got resin on all my petals. I think I do. Whoops, there's a leaf I don't have. But I'm not going to make you wait again. This is, except for it being dry, this is exactly what it's going to look like when it's finished. So let me show you this again. And let me see, do I have a picture of anything? I don't have any small pictures. I was going to say I could show you what a picture would look like here, and you could put it on here permanently. You could decoupage it on. You could put resin over it to put it on. Or you could make it a temporary. Just use some double-sided tape to stick it on there, and then as the season changes or as their life changes, they can pull that picture off and put another one on. But I think this is an awesome project. So thanks again for supporting me in my videos. We're going through a rough time in the polymer clay world right now, and it's nice to have something that would cheer people up instead of tear people down. So be kind to your neighbor, be kind to your fellow artist, and create something. Doesn't have to be anything complicated. It could be something simple like this. Just create something and give it to someone, or hang it in your shop, or hang it in a room where you spend a lot of time, just so that you can look at it and enjoy. So thanks again. I appreciate every one of you. Come back again soon. Bye-bye.